Rage fans, it's Kimber Schaefer with Rage OKC News, and I mean, exciting times on the way. Rage in the Cage 69 is coming your way Friday, November 8th. It's going down at the Oklahoma City Farmers Public Market, and I have your main event headlining fighter right here. It's Morgan Solis. And welcome to your very first Rage in the Cage OKC interview, although it's not the first time you've ever fought for Rage in the Cage. So I want to start with the big picture here. So walk me through your career so far. You started as an amateur, what was it, about 4 years ago?
I want to say it's closer to 5 or 6 years ago now. I had 4 fights as an amateur. I had 2 kids in the meantime, so I had to take a couple of breaks in between. Once I had my second and I came back, I decided I'm training so much, I might as well go ahead and go pro, and that's where I am today.
You know, every fighter has some lessons in their career, and whether it's through the wins or the losses. So walk me through, you know, how you started as a fighter and how you perceived yourself to where you are now.
For sure. Definitely, I never had the intentions of actually fighting. I got into MMA and kind of just was doing it as a workout. I was training so much and somewhat had a natural ability that I was like, you know, I'm going to go for this. So I kind of also met Shakir. So that it didn't hurt to have the person you fell in love with also doing the sport. So I took my first fight and it was successful. I went 3-1 as an amateur, and you know, after I had my kids, I think there's a fire that kind of gets lit inside of you whenever you have kids, especially when you're a pro female athlete and have 2 little girls. To be able to fight and, you know, be a role model for them, that's kind of my biggest motivation, I would say. I have amazing teammates at American Top Team. Obviously, I train with Emily Ducote, who is now fighting for the Invicta strawweight title in a few weeks. So just having people like that around me all the time and motivating people in my life has kind of led me where I am today. So I'm excited to be here.
Well, and you know, that brings me to my next question is, Oklahoma 5 and 6 years ago when you started out, there wasn't a big WMMA division. What does it feel like now? And that's kind of what I was getting to, in that you've got multiple teammates that you can train with that have, you know, like you said, Emily Ducote is fighting Invicta now. And so, you know, you really have just a good base and a solid foundation in WMMA here in Oklahoma, and training partners.
Absolutely. Not only in Oklahoma in general, but just in my gym in itself. It's nice to have a strong unit of people you can rely on, and not only rely on, but trust to train with every day. We have a great group of girls at American Top Team, both pro and amateur. We're all similar sizes, all different backgrounds, all different styles. So really everything that we need as female athletes, we have in the gym and we have in each other. So that's an awesome thing and an awesome, you know, advantage I feel that we have where we are, and I couldn't be more blessed to be there.
Well said. How do you feel like your fighting style, though, has really come full circle, and how has it changed over the years?
Absolutely. I definitely, when I started MMA, striking, just hitting pads and feeling, you know, feeling powerful, hitting pads and working my striking was definitely something I found a home in. So that was where I would say I started. Muay Thai was, you know, my pride and joy. But, you know, coming to American Top Team, Giuliano is obviously a very well-respected black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So that has forced me to elevate my ground game to the next level. But not only my ground game, Emily's great with her wrestling, with she's one of the most well-rounded MMA people that I know, both in the cage and outside of the cage. Her IQ is so high. So that has forced me to really bring my game to the next level, to where I can step into the cage, and when I once was just a striker, now I feel like I am actually becoming an MMA fighter, and it takes a lot of trial and error and, you know, blood, sweat, and tears, as cliche as that sounds, to get there. But I feel like I'm definitely on my way to being able to showcase not just my striking, but, you know, if you want to take me down, we can go to the ground, I can grapple, you know, I might even throw in a takedown here or there, working to get there. So you never know now.
How does it feel in the cage now that you've got several years under your belt versus that very first time that you stepped in the cage? I mean, that first time, did you have the confidence that you do now?
I don't think you can ever prepare for your first fight. I remember having to tell myself to breathe during the fight just because it was so overwhelming. So definitely to have, you know, some fights under my belt now, even at the pro level. I had 4 fights pretty quickly, and like you said, I had a couple of losses back to back, and I don't consider those losses real losses. I consider them lessons. So definitely now I feel like I can go into the cage and have a clear mind and actually really be able to focus on where I'm at, what I want to do, versus just kind of that fight or flight instinct that can come with the first few fights that you have. So I definitely feel I can, go in there mentally sound now that I'm at where I'm at in my career.
And you've had, multiple fights just in the past couple of years. You've had 5 pro fights, but several of those were back-to-back, correct?
Yeah, so I had my first 4 pro fights, and within 8 or 9 months, I took a little bit of a layoff after my Bellator fight last March. Then I fought early this year, and my intention was in 2019 to really hit the ground running, and I actually ended up getting injured in February, which even that I would consider a lesson. I had some personal things in life that happened. I lost my grandma, but that injury kind of slowed me down in all the right ways. I was able to focus on my family a little bit more and kind of be present in those moments, but then also it gave me a chance to not just focus physically on what I was doing with fighting, but mentally. I had no choice but to just sharpen my game mentally, because I couldn't train the way I wanted to train. Not only that, to come back from an injury like that, you have to be able to mentally push through it. So I would say that even though I did get hurt and it did suck for a while, I'm grateful for it, because I definitely feel like going into this fight, every part of who I am now is a little bit stronger than it has been before, and that ultimately is the goal, is to be better than who I was the last time. So
when we saw, after your 2 losses, I believe your next fight after that was for Rage in the Cage, correct? And obviously you came back stronger than ever with a first round victory in that fight. So how did it feel after, those 2 defeats back to back, which could really, take a toll on somebody mentally? How did it feel to come back and get such a strong victory?
Yeah, those 2 losses, like I said, I like to think of them as lessons. At the time, it was hard, especially losing my Bellator fight. I did some good things in that fight. At one point, I had an arm bar locked up. I thought she was going to tap. I thought, to win on that stage, that's the ultimate goal as a female fighter. So to lose that, it was hard. But to come back in January and win the way that I did, I had practiced for months to be taken down, and I was a little bit disappointed that I ended up getting taken down, but the fact that I was able to be present in that moment and still go to work, be patient, work my jiu-jitsu, and to come out with the armbar victory that I came out with. That was my first submission victory as an MMA fighter, as a pro, and to do that in front of Giuliano, who is someone who has guided my ground game at this point. It was an awesome feeling, and I'm excited to see, I'm going to go into the fight now, whereas I only had, like I said before, I only had one way I envisioned it. Like, I want to knock somebody out, or I want to win by decision by striking with them. Now I'm just in a place where I'm excited to get in there, and whatever is going to happen in the fight, I'm ready to adjust, and I'm ready to bring it whichever way it goes.
All right. Well, she's ready to bring it, guys. So you guys got to bring it and get some tickets. Before we wrap it up, any last words, any shout outs?
Just all my team, all my family, obviously having 2 kids and working full time on top of doing MMA. It takes a village. I can mean that with every ounce of who I am. So my boyfriend Shakir, all my teammates at American Top Team, my coaches, my family, just everyone that supports me, even at work. I have a big fan base. So I'm excited to put on a show for all of you.
All right, and what a show this is going to be. I'm so excited to have Morgan Solis as our main event. You guys, you've got to get tickets. Get from any fighter on the card. Of course, Morgan has some tickets, or you can go online and get them on stubwire.com. Pick your favorite fighter so that they get credit for that sale, and we will see you Friday, November 8th. Fights begin at 7:30 p.m. that night. Tickets at stubwire.com, and we will see you then.